I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Lynn Liss, the COO and co-founder of the Akoin project. Lynn, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. It's a pleasure to have you
Thank,
here.
thank you for having me. Very excited.
You're very welcome. I'm really excited to dive into this project, and I know that you are an expert in social impact and the blockchain for good movement. So I'd love to hear about the goals of the Akoin project and how you've geared that towards making an impact.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an exciting journey. And for me, it goes way back to my career. Back even in high school, I was working with banks and financial institutions into management consulting and got to see some of the earlier financial evolutions that occurred that we take for granted here now. So things like debit cards, online banking, image exchange of checks. And when blockchain came and really seeing the opportunity, especially in developing countries, because they had really leapfrogged, I'm staring at a computer. They really only stare at cell phones. They're actually quite familiar with cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and to see that opportunity to take all the opportunities that could come from blockchain cryptocurrency to a developing country in Africa with Akon, you couldn't pass that up. So right off the gate, I was sold and ready to take on the next financial evolution and bring those benefits to those individuals in rising economies like Africa. The second piece, but equally important, which is really close to my heart, is entrepreneurship. Again, something we take for granted here. We're able to put together a business and we have all the right tools and services available to us to launch a business overnight. And that was really, in terms of a business model, what would sustain our currency. It was about creating an ecosystem. We call it our DApp ecosystem, where different tools and services, partnered relationships would API into our platform and offer those entrepreneur building tools and services to rising entrepreneurs. So myself being an entrepreneur, startup geek at heart for many, many years after my financial background world, this got me very excited. And I think most people know Africa is, in addition, such a huge amount of young youth individuals that really sparked Akon early on, that he could see they have everywhere they want to get to and they don't have the tools to get there. So we are looking to bring that into the world, into Africa with him, with us, with Akoin.
That's amazing, Lynn. And yeah, there's so much potential with all of the young people in Africa, and being able to provide those tools, I could see could make a gigantic impact. So this really does touch close to me as well, and I think this is a great project. So I'd love to start, and you touched on the blockchain ecosystem and DApps, and we're going to dive into that. But in terms of the platform, I want to start at the highest level. The Akoin project's motto is "One Africa, One Coin." With coin as in a K. Can you explain the meaning behind the motto?
Yeah, well, you can't argue Akon, Akoin. So off the gate, we've got that. What was really eye-opening to me when I first met Akon and his vision for this project was realizing how many currencies are within Africa. So there's 54 countries, each of which have their own currency or some, various usages of many. And I'll keep referring back to, we just here in the U.S. We take it for granted. We just use the dollar, and it's no big deal. His origin story of going from one country to the other and trying to purchase something with currency he had from just a few steps over another country, and he couldn't. That interoperability was really important to us, but more importantly, to unite around one currency. And you can't put a number to I'll say the amount of support, passion, inspiration, again, youth in particular, that are behind Akon to get behind a currency in his name, Akoin, in addition to, as I just described, just the huge value of having one currency that can go across all of these countries that is truly digital. There's a huge inspiration behind the coin. So a uniting message around one coin, one Africa was really important to us.
Definitely, and blockchain is doing such a good job at breaking down borders, making currency and exchanges international. So can we dive a little bit into the platform on the financial side? Could you first start by giving an overview of what are the blockchain-based financial services that are available to these Africans in the platform?
Yeah, so one of the cornerstones of our solution, it's been out there in the press pretty frequently, was that we started with the idea of being able to convert between Akoin and prepaid minutes. That's something that, again, eye-opening for me. Across Africa, people were choosing to hold their assets in prepaid minutes more safely than they felt in their local fiat currency. There's such volatility. And so for us, out of the gate, we have the ability to change in between with our partnership with BitMinutes, in between Akoin and the BitMinutes. So you can tap up your cell phone. Great. You can get into Akoin, so into cryptocurrency. I think we all kind of tracked what was going on with Libra over the past year, and that idea of banking unbanked. Well, how do you even get them into cryptocurrency, right, if they don't have a bank account? So we start with that level playing field, and something that users in Africa are quite familiar with. From there, we move into things like micro lending, crowdfunding, financial services. I'll say we have a stable currency that we're also offering, so you sort of have something equal to what people perceive here as a savings account. But I like to say, when it comes to not just financial services, but all of the services available within the ecosystem, and we're early days. So I also want to reach out. Anyone watching this program, please connect with us if you have a tool or service that you'd like to see in the hands of an Africa entrepreneur, rising economies such as Africa. But step back and say to yourself, most people watching this are most likely entrepreneurs. What do you use every day, right? So every financial service I just named, and then all the way into healthcare, all the way into, we're looking at solutions around all the way to land rights. We're looking at all the social media services. We have some cool partnerships that we'll be announcing shortly, again, around the same tools we use online here, but really bringing them in as blockchain-based. And again, as long as they're willing to trade in and out of Akoin for their tool and service, which is great, then we welcome you. So yeah, the entrepreneur building blocks, anything that you can imagine you need as an entrepreneur here, we want to replicate that there, and starting with the best curated DApps and apps, I want to say, not just crypto-based apps. We're also looking at Wi-Fi solutions, for instance, so that you can have meshed Wi-Fi amongst users. It's sort of an earning opportunity where they can set up a tool where they can sell out Wi-Fi to those near them. So that's not a DApp. It's just, it will be perceived as sort of an app or a service offering. So just technically how we integrate. But we do attract a lot of DApps, so hence the DApp ecosystem.
That's great. And there's so much potential in terms of different industries and different ways that blockchain can help in Africa. So I'm glad that you guys are reaching out for that support and those partnerships. And what's really interesting that you touched on is the fact that these people in Africa are holding their prepaid minutes as opposed to their centralized currency because of the volatility, and it seems like that is one of the stepping stones to move into a digital currency or a blockchain-based currency. So that's really cool. And speaking of,
you nailed it perfectly.
Yeah, that's super cool. And on the blockchain side, I was looking into the technical part of it a little bit more, and I saw that Akoin was utilizing the Stellar blockchain, which is been around for a long time. It's really large, but it's not as popular as Ethereum or a couple of other ones, right? So I'm curious if there's a reason, or why use Stellar. I know it's a great blockchain, but I'd love to hear the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I touched on that word, interoperability. That's a big Stellar word. We looked at all of the majors you can imagine, and I feel really honored the access working with Akoin brings. We were approached and spoke with really all of the majors. And two things I'll say. On the ecosystem, the good news is through our atomic swap, we can interchange between really any currencies. We don't need to care what protocol they're on. So that out of the gate was good. But for our backbone on Stellar, as we dove in more deeply, two things came to light. Well, number one, Akoin and Jed met and just had, a real connection in terms of their vision for Africa and economic inclusion. So that at the highest level was very important. When we dove into the technology and how it's structured, they made a leap in creating something called the Anchor Network. And through that, they established really endpoints, and in Africa in particular, the most financial institution, different currency endpoints that supplement interchangeability for us. Fiat isn't going away. yes, we've talked about minutes that help get them into cryptocurrency, but we want them to be able to go in and out of their local currency as needed also. And Stellar is less known for that. It's something I always say isn't marketed as strongly, but it was really important to us because not only it allows for more interoperability in that exchange between currencies, but also we get introduced to those endpoints, right? So the more that we can do business with those other anchors, right, which we are, the more exchange we can do, the more business we can do together. So that was really key to us. And thirdly, and this is just something that just proves you made the right decision, as we continue to build. And the roadmap is long and never ending. They've been very open with their resources, their team, their code, their knowledge, their learnings, and that's amazing. That allows us to leapfrog even further and move more swiftly. So it's been a joyous post-decision. It's been a joyous partnership and relationship in that way.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that everything's going well, and interoperability is definitely a key moving forward. And I think that's going to be a common theme throughout most of the major blockchains, and I hope it is, because really we need to work together to make a change. It's much harder if people are competing against each other. Yeah. So, and the atomic swaps part that you mentioned about being able to switch between coins flawlessly and not having any counterparty risk using atomic swaps is definitely a key to getting people into the currencies that they need to be able to purchase the tools they need. So
yeah, I like to say, and this isn't new. People speak a lot about the user experience, and our key is just to make sure everything is behind the scenes. I think we all in the blockchain, yourself included, community feel like the easier it gets on the front end, right? Everything else is just done behind the scenes. We're all better off. I think there's so many people, friends of mine, who are like, I need to learn about blockchain. Show me where to go. And I'm thinking, that's going to go away. Like people are not going to become blockchain experts just to use the technology. So I think the more we have those type of, yes, interoperability, yes, atomic swaps, everything is just click behind the scenes. It's seamless and streamlined. Adoption increases. So that's really a priority for us.
Definitely, user experience should be at the top priority, and it should be very easy. And I guess that leads me to the next question about the DApp ecosystem. You have the BitMinutes DApp out, and you're looking at creating more DApps. How easy is it for developers to come to the Akoin ecosystem, start developing similar DApps to BitMinutes so that you can expand the ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'll say our goal is to, within the first quarter, even get up to about 10 DApps available. Again, one in each lane. You can see in our white paper that entrepreneur building blocks. You can sort of see our target roadmap there. And again, I welcome people to reach out. Simultaneously, we have a partnership, not yet announced, to create a DApp builder tool. This is something Akoin has always been 20 steps ahead of all of us. And he mentioned early on that it was such a priority to have, exactly as you suggest, the ability for individuals to build their own DApps. And we know we could go the SDK, open code toolkit, down the road, we'll get there. But our initial step, and this gets back to the point about ease of use for the users, this is super slick. I can't say the name yet, but basically it's a dragging and dropping of all the screens you need for an app, right? So you need a checkout screen, you need a video to show your product, you need some graphic placement, all those pieces that we, again, whip up overnight as apps on the Apple Store. This DApp builder tool is very cool. And it's on our very near-term roadmap because the vision Akoin set out very early on was someone has any product or service, but let's use, someone's making these beautiful rugs in Uganda and wants to get more marketing bump for that. It should be so easy. We don't need them to be coders to be able to go out and do this. So we're really excited to introduce that coming soon.
Very exciting, and definitely not, I could see how it would make it super easy to be able to onboard all of these entrepreneurs without a single line of code, as long as you create a proper system development kit, ecosystem for the developers to be able to just have people onboard the Akoin platform and just plug and play.
Yes, and yes.
Awesome. And I guess one of my last questions is about the Akoin coin itself. How does it interact with the DApps, and is there other utility within the ecosystem?
Yeah, so going back to the atomic swap, our main goal is just simply Akoin is the main currency. That is the business model. That is the utility, right? We're offering them access into these tools and services. We've created the relationships and the business deals with these DApps and apps as they onboard. And you can look at our demo, I think is online, where that atomic swap literally is just, I have this amount of Akoin. How many Akoins do I want to use to go into bit minutes to top up my phone? How many do I want to go into healthcare services that I may want to take part in, all the way to, we have a really cool earner DApp that is coming out. So the ability to earn for almost, I don't want to say TaskRabbit, but when you're doing small services that are digital, scanning for images or confirming written language or etc., just small earning opportunities. That's really important to us. We like to say learn, earn, spend, and save. So you'll see education, you'll see more earning opportunities. So yes, the utility in Akoin out to the DApps and apps. And then I just want to mention, when we speak about utility, the DApp ecosystem is the business model that sustains the currency. But what's really important is that the local community starts to see the value in holding Akoin and spending it in their local environment. So I brought up Dash before in a few interviews, where their model, and this is really high priority in our roadmap, is to establish those both local vendor relationships, but also this is where Akoin spends a lot of time working with more strategic enterprise relationships like utility partners, et cetera, to allow for payment in Akoin. So it's not just on our platform. We're looking to be a store of value in the local community. And so it's through both those relationships. And then I always also state this story because it reminds me where we're going. M-Pesa is obviously one of the more known experiences in Kenya in particular, in Africa. And the story of a partnership of ours was saying they were in a cab and the cab driver was willing to be paid in M-Pesa. Well, that's cool. That starts to show that's a growing store of value, and the cab driver even would be willing to hold on to that more than the local currency, much like the prepaid minutes example I gave. So for us, it's utility in the ecosystem, but absolutely in the local environment. That is our success pathway, and we feel really excited to get there. It's a long journey, but we are on it and couldn't be more thrilled.
Very nice, and that's really exciting, Lynn. And if the viewers are looking to learn more about the project, follow along, and reach out for partnerships and everything else, what's the best way for them to learn more?
Yeah, please, Akoin, AKOIN.io, and please join our Telegram channel. We're also launching a pretty cool blockchain Telegram experience. You'll see it shortly on the wires. So yet another place for people even more intimate to engage in the project. So we have some more community experiences coming out. So yes, join us, join the journey, and help march this along.
Thanks for your time, Lynn. Let's follow up in the near future.
Please, thank you very much. Have a great day.